we will be discussing our top 10 movies featuring natural disasters and or extreme weather. Kyle, you said you had fun making this list, quote unquote.
Yeah, I just think like these were movies that I normally don't talk about on this podcast. So I always like trying to find something different instead of being like, oh yeah, but here's the same 100 movies I draw from my lists. And then at the same time, like trying to figure out how I was going to order my list. Like, do I just do it by how much I like it? Do I do it by like the type of weather? Like, how do you make this list? So,
and what did you land on?
So I had 13 movies to choose from, and 3 of those were just turds. So like, okay, well, that's 10 I at least can enjoy to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ordered them by how extreme the weather is. Okay. So like, I would say my number 10 has, these are all extreme weather, but it's probably the least extreme. Huh?
A light gust.
Yeah, exactly. A gentle breeze happens.
Yeah.
And then by my number 1, I think the weather at this point is pretty extreme. I guess we also used, one of mine is a natural disaster. I think the rest of mine are weather, but one is natural disaster. And I tried to leave off anything that was like viruses or stuff like that. Because, I mean, that's a disaster. But I really try to lean more towards the weather and the natural side of things.
Is a virus a natural disaster? I don't think so.
I mean, it comes from nature.
COVID came from nature?
Yeah. Unless you think it was made in a lab. Yes.
I guess.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I would consider a virus a natural disaster, but I was sticking more on the weather, things happening from the earth side of stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's generally how I made my list. I ordered it by how much I liked the movie, also taking into account how much that natural disaster or extreme weather affects the happenings in the movie.
Yep.
Because in some cases, it's more the setup than the thing actually affecting the events of the movie. And so I got a couple notches off a couple movies just because the disaster isn't the bulk of the movie. But overall, ranked on preference and just how natural disastery, extreme weathery it is. How about you, Zach?
Yeah, I ordered mine traditionally just by how much I liked the film.
Mm-hmm.
But all of them are fairly natural disastery or extreme weathery, I would say.
Gotcha. Who wants to go first? Kyle?
Yeah, I'll go first.
All right.
So my number 10 has to do with a monsoon, which I think on my list is the least extreme just because they're very common, but still extreme weather. And this is the documentary, The Rescue, about the Thai soccer team that was trapped in a cave during a monsoon and the incredible rescue that had to happen to bring these boys out. I think it was 13 boys that were trapped, if I'm not mistaken. I watched this movie fairly recently. I remember watching 13 Lives for the podcast and enjoying that. But I think both of you guys said the documentary just kind of does it better because it's the actual footage, not the, Ron Howard shot footage. And you're right. Like watching that documentary is just as riveting as watching a narrative movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are using mostly actual footage of these divers, seeing how extreme and dangerous this rescue was and how kind of off the wall this idea was of like, let's anesthetize these young boys and then carry them out on a 2-hour swim, which is an insane idea and incredible that it worked as it did. So yeah, thanks for the recommendation. I enjoyed The Rescue.
Very cool. My number 10 is Frozen, Disney's Frozen, a movie I've seen quite a bit because I have young kids. And the extreme weather event, obviously, is the Ice Queen freezes all of Rivendell. No, Arendelle.
Arendelle, yeah.
I need to see it again.
I would have believed you said Rivendell anyway. So
yeah, that's Lord of the Rings plus Frozen. And so the movie takes place almost entirely in the middle of winter, even though it's the middle of summer. And it's a good movie. I think it's really well done, really catchy music. The sequel's good too.
Nice. For some reason, I didn't consider animated movies or documentaries for this list. I don't know.
It's all right.
I don't know why. But I did consider my number 10, The Gray, which is a
Ooh.
Liam Neeson movie where he's out in the weather trying to survive while being chased down by wolves. And yeah, it's a survival movie that has a weather element to it. Mercilessly cold weather that he has to survive that and being chased around. And it's a great one. I love it. The Gray, my number 10.
My number 9 is another documentary. And this is actually an interesting one. It's half documentary and it's half footage shots to mimic what the talking heads are talking about. So it's like a documentary and a narrative laid over each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think I talked about it on the podcast before, and if you guys have not seen this yet, you really should. It is called Touching the Void. And this is a true story about two British mountain climbers I think they're in Patagonia, Argentina. And they're summiting some mountain face. And they get to the top and everything's fine. And as they're coming down, a storm hits them. So now we're in the snowstorm portion of my list. And during this storm, one of the climbers breaks his leg. So to get down the mountain, these two climbers tie each other, essentially, to a 300-foot long rope and sort of like lower the guy with the broken leg down until they accidentally lower him into an ice cave. And the guy who lowered him in an ice cave is there for like an hour, doesn't know what to do, realize he's going to fall in the ice cave too if he doesn't do something. So he cuts the rope, essentially abandoning the guy, leaving him for dead. And this is the story about the guy as he escapes this ice cave with a broken leg.
Wow.
Yeah,
Sounds
it's a
awesome.
pretty good doc. I know I set up a lot of it, but again, you see these people talking, so like
Sure.
they survive it. It's more of how do they survive this?
Mhm.
So
Was guy with broken leg mad at the other guy for doing that, or did he like encourage him to do that?
well, so they couldn't communicate because it was they're on a 300-foot rope. There was a storm happening. The guy who was with the working legs, who was at the top of the rope, didn't know what the guy hanging down in the crevasse was up to. He didn't know if he was dead. He didn't know if he like hit bottom. At that point, he was like, either I cut the rope or we both die. So he thought this guy's probably dead already. And yeah, it's one of those things where like in the climbing community, it was really controversial. Like, do you leave your partner on the mountain or do you save yourself? It's a hard decision to make. So, and the movie kind of goes into those ethics a little bit too. Of did he do the right thing by cutting the rope and leaving this guy to die essentially?
Sounds great.
Yeah, super light documentary.
I want to watch it.
It's done really, really well though. So,
All right. My number 9 is Only the Brave from 2017. And this is about firemen fighting wildfires. And I remember thinking this movie was very affecting. It's based on a true story of like a 20-member fire crew fighting this very intense wildfire. And yeah, I liked it. I liked it quite a bit. It's kind of a small movie that came and went, but I thought it was memorable. It's maybe my favorite firefighter movie.
I can't name many.
I haven't seen Backdraft.
Only the Brave, directed by the guy who wrote Twisters.
Is that true?
Oh, not John DeBont, the writer.
Joseph
Joseph
Kosinski.
Okay, interesting.
And Glenn Powell is going to be in the remake of Backdraft.
I've never seen Backdraft. Is that worth a watch?
I haven't either.
Okay.
I haven't either.
It's worth a watch if you like the people that are in it, I would say. Like if you like that era with those people.
Okay.
That makes
I was
sense.
terrified of fires growing up. So that was just always going to be a no-go.
Right. That's why you didn't watch Bambi for so long.
I wasn't allowed to, but yeah, that's why I wasn't allowed to.
Sure. You're talking original Backdraft: Kurt Russell, William Baldwin, Robert De Niro, Donald Sutherland, Jennifer Jason Lee, Rebecca De Mornay.
Ron Howard director?
Ron Howard directed. So
yeah,
like I said,
totally watch that.
If you like specific, those types of movies from that era, this is one of those for sure.
100% I will watch that movie.
Only the Brave, also good though. I liked it.
Thank you.
3.5. Didn't consider it for this, but that's only because I didn't think of it. I did think of my number 9 though, The Revenant, another movie similar to The Gray. I think most people have seen it. But it's a cold movie in general, meaning like there's a lot of cold weather in it and surviving the weather and stuff like that. But there is one extreme storm in the movie where what's his name? Leonardo DiCaprio's character has to Han Solo a horse, crawl into it, and survive the storm. That is pretty memorable in my brain. My number 9.
Excellent. My number 8, and this is rounding out my winter weather movies, is the previously mentioned Frozen.
Nice.
Yeah. Not a man-made disaster, definitely a magic-made disaster, but
female-made disaster.
Okay, person-made disaster. I mean man as in like mankind.
Sure. But well, it is man-made then.
Right. Sorry, it is a man-made disaster, not a natural disaster.
Not a natural disaster, but it is extreme weather.
It is extreme weather, yes.
Yes. Okay, well, my number 8 is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe the only claymation movie on my list.
Maybe.
Yeah.
There's a possibility.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Classic disaster movie.
Extreme weather. It's extreme weather. Rudolph actually became a member of Santa's crew at the climax of the film because the weather.
Sure.
And his bright nose was the only thing that could get Santa to deliver his presents.
Oh, was that the story of Rudolph?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So, because of the extreme weather, they avoided a disaster. And it's a good movie.
I guess we're officially accepting claymation television specials as movies, I guess.
Zach, I love it. I think it's a great pick.
Thank you.
I want
Absolutely.
more.
It's an extreme weather movie.
Quick tangent. Do you guys ever remember the made-for-TV movie that came out the same year as Twister with Devon Sawa called The Night of Twisters?
No.
Either of you guys see this?
No.
Oh, I remember watching that. I didn't know it was Devon Sawa at the time. I looked that movie back up because like, didn't I see a cheesy movie? And it's kind of the same thing. It's like one terrible night, all these twisters, and like Devon Sawa's trying to save his family by hiding in bathtubs. And it scared the bejesus out of me.
I will say I'm annoyed in general by referring to tornadoes as twisters. I think that's super affected. I don't like
reductive.
It. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd rather it be titled Tornadoes.
Yeah.
I mean, but Tornado sounds like the cheap version of this movie.
Right. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm also a little bothered that it's called Twisters because there's multiple Twisters in the first Twister also.
Sure.
So it's not descriptive. I don't know what else you would call it. You don't call it Twister 2, but.
Well, there's one Twister that's the inciting Twister in Twister.
Yeah, the big Twister.
That sucks her dad up into the sky, right?
Right. Yeah. So I think the movie is about her resolving her issues around that Twister.
Oh, you think the Twister name is about the Twister that sucked up her dad, not the huge Twister in the second half?
I mean, that was a Twister in the movie, but I think the movie is named after the Twister related to her father.
I never would have thought that in a million years.
Well, now that you've heard it out loud, makes sense, right?
No. I think the movie is named after the F5 Twister at the end.
It could be. I'll give you that. It could go either way.
It's like if someone's dad was murdered by like a Godzilla, and then later in the second half of the movie, a giant Godzilla is threatening Tokyo. The movie Godzilla is named after the giant one, not the baby one that killed her dad.
Well, Godzilla is one animal. So
agreed.
Godzilla is Godzilla. There's not multiple Godzillas, whereas there are multiple Twisters.
Well, that's one theory, James.
You think it's the same Twister that just goes down and back up over and over?
I think it's entirely possible, maybe likely, that every Twister is the same reincarnated Twister, just in different places.
In the original Twister, doesn't Helen Hunt think she's being chased by a storm or something like that, though? Like, doesn't she think a Twister is chasing her?
No.
Like,
I don't think she has any supernatural leanings.
You're
I thought-
misremembering. There's nothing.
I
like
thought the
that.
movie. Okay, I thought for whatever movie, like for whatever reason, the movie, at least she was like they're following me or something like that. So
Do you remember when the Twisters were hiding in the closet and jumped out at her? And
no, they were hiding behind the drive-in screen and found the
What?
perfect moment to bust through.
this might be the wrong time to bring this up, but what natural disaster would you least want to be in?
I mean,
or would you least want to be in? Okay.
Yeah.
I have an answer.
probably a volcano would be the worst.
You don't want to be in a volcano.
No, I won't be in a volcano. No, I
Like
mean, I don't know. I live in Wisconsin. We have tornadoes. I think the idea of a tornado destroying my house is very real in a sense and a little scary. So,
I was gonna say tsunami, but yeah, being in the path of a exploding volcano sounds pretty awful.
Yeah.
That sounds bad too.
yeah.
Have you guys been in a natural disaster? Which natural disasters have you been in?
I've been in hurricanes and I've been in
Yeah.
earthquakes.
Me too. Both those. And I've been nearish to a tornado.
Yeah, I've been near tornadoes. I've never had like one pass over the building I've been in or something like that.
I've been near them in that we always have tornadoes when we have hurricanes, but other than that, not
That's
near one.
different. No.
Right. That's what I mean.
Yeah, that's different.
I don't consider it the same either. But technically, I've been near a tornado.
Oh, I've been in a drought as well.
Oh yeah, I've been into some extreme heat, which is I was looking up like which weather natural disasters is most dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Extreme heat. Not exciting for a list, but the biggest killer of them all.
Sure. I don't
All right.
doubt it.
Back at it.
My
next?
number 8, right?
Yeah.
My number 8 is Take Shelter, which is a psychological thriller from the early 2010s. It's directed by Jeff Nichols, who we recently talked about when we talked The Bike Riders.
Yep.
It's a great movie starring Michael Shannon and Jessica Chastain. And it's about a guy who has post-apocalyptic visions. So there's all kinds of different storms and bird attacks and plagues that are visualized in this movie. And it's great.
Isn't this, I think this movie is not a natural disaster movie. It's a supernatural disaster movie. The opposite.
I think it's a natural disaster movie about as much as Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is a film.
Well, it's definitely a film.
So if we're
It was
going to
shot
allow that,
on
we're going to
film.
allow this.
Rudolph was shot on film. As a film.
Right, but
It's
you called it a movie.
Yeah.
It's not a movie. It might be a short
Okay.
film, but it's not a short movie.
Short film's a type of film. And films and movies are often synonymous. But would you agree that the happenings in Take Shelter are supernatural in nature rather than natural?
Are you saying do they actually happen? Or
No.
were they generated by supernatural means?
Yes.
Have you seen Take Shelter?
Yes.
Okay. I would say that. So you think he generated the
He did? No.
No, that something generates the reality of the end of that movie.
Yeah, I think it's a supernatural event.
Okay. But
Do you think it's a natural
still,
event?
It's
like
still an extreme weather
extreme weather. I'll give you.
disaster event, whether it was supernaturally developed or not, right?
Yeah, it's extreme weather.
Okay.
It's just not a natural disaster. Quite the opposite.
Fine. As long as it still applies
It's extreme weather.
in the
Yeah, it's
extreme
extreme
weather
weather.
department, I'll take it.
Is a bird attack? Is that weather?
No.
No, not
I mean,
necessarily.
a volcano's not weather either.
That's true.
Mhm.
So a fire
Or an
well, I
earthquake.
guess a fire could be like, would you, I didn't include it on my list, but Towering Inferno, is that a natural disaster?
How does it
No.
start?
It's a fire in a building, so probably not. It's more of just a
No.
disaster movie. Okay.
Human developed it. Yeah.
What? Okay. I mean, what if the forest fire in Only the Brave was started by a campfire? It was started by a human.
Even if it was started by a human, I think as soon as it becomes raging out of control because of natural elements, it becomes a
Right.
natural disaster.
I agree.
Would a like a alien invasion be a natural disaster?
No, that's supernatural because
That's not supernatural.
Aliens don't exist.
Okay. I always thought natural referred to the Earth.
Oh, natural is strictly the Earth. So if it happens on the moon, it's not natural.
Yeah.
I thought natural meant it occurs through natural processes.
Like the laws of the universe.
Yeah. Through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I mean, yeah, I guess technically an alien invasion would. Well, no, but that's not a. But natural disasters are also just chance. Like there's no decision being made. Right? It happens. A volcano erupts. A tornado. The conditions are right. A tornado happens. A hurricane happens. An alien invasion, that is a decision, a choice.
But like
a
hurricane or a forest fire, those could start because of global climate change, the lessening of the ozone due to the carelessness of man. These are things that are not natural. These are things that happen because we did it.
Well, I mean, they're natural in the sense that we have affected nature and we've caused them. So
right, but that's but they didn't just happen. They happened because we exist here.
Right, but they're the kind of things that could happen naturally. They might happen more often because of influence.
True.
Yeah,
but they also would happen naturally. Okay,
fair enough.
What about like a giant stampede? Would that be a natural disaster? Like an enormous stampede,
like a bunch of bison ran through town and just knocked everything over.
Yeah.
Are the bison collected in one spot because we collected them, or are they collected in one spot because they naturally collected?
Like The Lion King. Is that a natural disaster movie?
Yes. I don't know if the movie is, but it has a natural disaster in it.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I mean, is a stampede and a flood are kind of the same thing, right? Just one's animals, one's water.
That's true.
So we would call a flash flood, we would call disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think we call a stampede a disaster. Yeah.
Okay. Very insightful.
Yeah. All right.
You know what else is a disaster?
What?
This list.
How long are we taking to get through this list? Go,
I
Kyle.
think it's great. All right. My number 7, we now moved into storms. This is about a nor'easter. This is 2000 and O's, the perfect storm. And before I talk about it, I just want to read to you the Letterboxd plot description because I got a kick out of this. All right. In October 1991, a confluence of weather conditions combined to form a killer storm in the North Atlantic. Caught in the storm was the sword fishing boat Andrea Gale. So far, so good, right?
Sure.
It goes on. Magnificent foreshadowing and anticipation fill this true life drama, while minute details of fishing boats, their gear, and the weather are juxtaposed with the sea adventure. So we have like half of a plot description and half of some editorialization about why this movie's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. That's great. I haven't seen this movie.
You haven't seen this movie?
No.
This movie is the first movie I ever took a date to. Like the first time I ever went on a date, that wasn't like a double date or something like that. I took my date to see The Perfect Storm, which was a decent date movie. You know, it's got Mark Wahlberg, George Clooney. It's a big effects movie. There's storms and waves and it's cheesy. It's kind of up there with Twister. It's fun.
Totally harmless adventure disaster movie.
Exactly. Exactly. And a good way to gauge how the date's going. Like no one's gonna be offended by this movie.
No.
Well, how did it go?
I mean, we dated first summer.
Okay.
So yeah,
Nice.
I would say the first date went
movie. Well. Okay.
Yeah. We had multiple dates after that. So
okay. Yeah. My number 7.
Yeah.
We are not going quickly.
No, not at all.
Is The Day After Tomorrow.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
A classic of the genre.
Mm-hmm.
By a true weirdo.
Mm-hmm.
Day After Tomorrow, obviously it gets incredibly cold very fast. Very fast. Maybe unbelievably fast. But I think the movie's actually really fun. I think it's so cheesy and silly that it's fun. In a way that like 2012 went too far. This one kept it just under the cheesiness mark where like you could actually enjoy it.
Oh yeah, like the Queen of England getting froze on the spot. Just cheesy enough.
Did she?
You don't remember that?
No.
Yeah, her helicopter. So like there's the flash freeze.
Yeah.
The helicopter like crashes. she opens the helicopter door and just becomes an icicle immediately.
Yeah, The Day After Tomorrow is like Twister, the original Twister. It's a movie that picked a perfect tone so that you can have a
Right.
scene like Kyle's describing, and like it was fine, it was funny in the moment, but it didn't ruin the movie for you, clearly, because you didn't even remember it. So
I did not include on my list. It's one of 2 movies that I did not include where people try to outrun the wind.
Sure. So, my number 7 is a movie that we talk about a lot, or at least I bring it up. The Empire Strikes Back from 1980, which has pretty mean snowstorm where Han Solo had to slice open the belly of a tauntaun and jam an injured Luke inside of it. Also, Luke got caught by the what's the name of that animal?
It's not a wampa. Is it a wampa?
It is a wampa.
Okay.
Yeah. Got caught by the wampa in a snowstorm as well. So lots of snowstorms happening in the first third of this movie, and thus extreme weather. My number 7, Empire Strikes Back.
I'm going to speed this up. My number 6, we moved on to new weather, tornadoes, Twister, Twisters, either one doesn't matter. Talked about both. Number 6.
Oh, you're putting
Which
them
one did you like better?
putting them both in the same slot?
Sure, why not? I don't know which one I liked better. I haven't seen Twister in like 25 years. I do want to see it again. Probably watch it with my son. And I'll let you guys know which one I like better.
There's no moment in Twisters that's as good as the joke in Twister where they say we have debris and it's a house falls in front of them on the street.
Right.
There's no moment as good as that.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with James. It's not as light of a movie. It's more serious. There's more trauma being dealt with. A lot more people getting sucked up into the sky.
And it being sad because they got sucked up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My number 6, 1997's Dante's Peak. This is a movie that Kyle and I both saw at the movie theater because our school took us on a field trip to Rocky Rococo's.
Was it Rockies? Is that where he went?
It was
Oh, don't want that.
No, it was awesome to go to Rocky Rococo's.
James, do you know what this is? Zach, tell the people about the Rocky Rococo movie theater.
Oh, I loved it. Well, I mean, I don't know what to tell, but it was a movie theater and you could eat pizza there.
Yeah. But the restaurant is a pizza restaurant that
With
had a movie theater. It wasn't a theater with pizza. It was pizza with a theater.
It was a pizza place with a theater on the back.
Yeah.
And a really strange mascot, like spokesperson named Rocky Rococo, who
like a
dressed
terrible
like Carmen
Italian
San Diego
stereotype.
in all white. Yeah.
Yeah. With like round sunglasses.
So were there show times or were they just running movies and kids came and went from the theater?
I think there were show times.
Probably.
You had to buy tickets to get into the theater in the back, or
Yeah, but then it was heavily birthday partied.
I'm pretty sure we saw Contact at Rocky Rococo like for the first time.
That would have been great.
I think that's there's a good run of movies in like the mid 90s that I saw at Rocky Rococo.
Yeah, Rocky Rococo was great.
Yeah, that's cool.
Dante's Peak is a volcano movie with Pierce Brosnan and Linda Hamilton.
Thank you. Okay, don't leave her out.
Sorry. And it's pretty cheesy. But I have fond memories of it.
Is this the one where the grandma melts?
Yes.
Yes.
In the lava.
Yeah.
No, the sulfur lake.
Yeah.
It's the acidic lake. Yes.
Yeah. Burst into flames. Yeah. So yeah, it's good. Check it out.
Nice. My number 6 is The Day After Tomorrow. And I guess I just generally agree with Zach. Don't have much more to add other than pretty good entry from shower curtain aficionado. Oh, what's his name?
Roland Emmerich.
Roland
Emmerich.
Yeah.
Kyle?
My number 5, we've moved on to, I guess we've already moved on to tornadoes. So the tornado movie, Wizard of Oz. If I made this list by preference, this would be my number 1. I watched this movie a ton as a kid. We taped it off of some channel, had it on VHS, watched a bunch of it, and a pretty sizable tornado kicks this movie off. So without that tornado, Dorothy would never be in Oz, or was she?
Yeah. My number 5 is The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
That's a
Which I just-
bingo.
I just read that book to my kids, by the way.
Mm.
Oh, how different is
couple
the
weeks
book
ago.
than the movie?
There are significant differences.
Okay.
For instance, her shoes in the book are silver.
Oh,
That's
but if
very
you're making,
significant.
but if you're making Technicolor, you're not gonna put silver shoes on the screen. You're gonna go like bright red, ruby red slippers.
Agreed. Plus, I don't know when Cinderella came out. I don't know which one was first.
Oh, Cinderella, the Disney movie came out in the early 50s. So this
Okay,
one
so
predated
after.
by 12 years.
But I found that interesting because the ruby slippers are such a big, iconic,
Mhm.
prop, or whatever. So
Do you think they would be okay watching the movie, or the movie's still too a little scary with the witch and the?
I think the flying monkeys are a little
The
scary.
monkeys,
Right.
yeah.
In the book, they're really not scary at all. They like do whatever person wearing a magic cap tells them to do.
Mhm.
And so they're mostly helpful to Dorothy, except when the witch has them under control.
Sure.
The trees are kind of scary too.
Yeah.
In the movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you guys?
And the dead little people in the background. It's pretty scary also.
Myth.
I know. It's an albatross or so it's a bird or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
How do you guys feel about Wicked, the upcoming adaptation of the best-selling play? Not advertising that it's actually 2 movies.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, is it? I did not know that.
The Wicked that's coming out this
Oh.
holiday season is part 1 of 2 films.
That is insidious because I had no idea.
Right.
Yeah.
They are not advertising it.
Can I tell you a really silly thing that's very applicable right now?
Sure.
Please.
In much more than I would have realized. I went and saw the Wicked musical
Mm-hmm.
off Broadway show or like traveling Broadway show or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And at intermission left, for intermission to go to the bathroom or whatever. And then went to go back and that was it was the end of the play. There wasn't an intermission. That was the end of it. I thought it was only half over.
Wow.
So
it
so
doesn't
maybe
have
this-
a great ending, is what you're saying.
Well, at least that was my impression at the moment. I was like, wait, that's it? There's nothing else?
Wait, so
So-
like everyone left the theater and you're like, oh, everyone's leaving for intermission apparently.
Well, everyone just shuffled out. I went to the bathroom, came
Yeah.
out, and it's like, doesn't look like it's happening again. That was really funny.
Interesting. I wonder if it's like a 2-night show.
I don't think that is a thing.
No, they've never had a play where they did one night, the first half of the play, and the second night.
I
the other
Don't
half?
think
I-
that's a Wicked thing.
I don't want to say they've never done that in the history of art,
Sure.
but I think for the most part, like Broadway shows are. Oh, there's one show. Even plays, most plays are. There's one play. There's not like, all right, tonight and then come back tomorrow night for part 2 of it.
I agree that most of them are not like that, Kyle. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I wonder if there's any famous plays that were actually split into 2 nights. That's all I'm asking.
There was a thing I watched, and I forget if it was a movie or a TV show or a book.
So
But
you may
a-
not even have watched
Maybe
it.
it was a podcast.
No.
Yeah,
But
Zach,
where a bunch
I
of people
do think there are some books in 2 parts. Yeah.
No, but what I'm saying is where a bunch of people went to a play
Mhm.
of like a friend of theirs,
Mhm.
and then it was like over the course of like 4 nights, and they really didn't want to go back the second night, and it was Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Or it sounds like How I Met Your Mother also. But yeah.
Curb Your Enthusiasm,
Hmm.
and he was like debating if he had to go the second night or not.
So there's a TV show comedy about this situation.
Yeah.
what a situational comedy for them to be in.
So anyway, that I don't like that. It's a part 1 of a 2 thing.
Okay. So you don't like it. I don't mind it. I just think it's kind of messed up that they're not advertising it that way.
Right.
Now, well, in the same sentence, they didn't really advertise the latest animated Spider-Man movie as a 2-parter either. People in the know knew it, but I don't think everybody knew it. Like they don't say in the trailers, like, the second in a 3-part in a trilogy or something like that.
And Dune was not advertised as a 2-parter.
Right.
I think, again, if you're in the know, you knew it would be a 2-parter. But
Yeah. So
I think it didn't bother me because I knew.
yeah.
right. But if you're just Joe moviegoer, and you're just judging your knowledge based on previous trailers you've seen, then maybe you'd be mad at those movies. Although
maybe.
I don't think it's a problem as long as it's good. Like Wicked, if you get to the end of 2.5 hours of sitting in a movie theater and it's like springs it on you that this is part 2 out of 3 and it was good, it'll be fine. If it was bad, lots of groans, I imagine. We'll see.
James, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is Twister from 1996, 3.5 stars. We already talked about it. My number 5.
All right. Number 4, moving on to, I guess, Hurricanes. And this is Steamboat Bill Jr., the Buster Keaton movie. In this, Buster Keaton plays the son of a steam captain, and he tries to prove himself by working on his father's ship. And towards the end of the movie, I think it's a hurricane, it could just be a windstorm, but I'm going to make it a hurricane, blows through town, and Steamboat Bill Jr., Buster Keaton, comically gets blown all over the place with extreme winds. He's in a hospital bed, and this has the very famous scene where the house collapses on him, and the window falls in perfectly, which he did before that in a movie called 1 Week, which is a short of his. This is just at a much bigger scale, but they're both great stunts. And Zach and I know we talked a lot about Buster Keaton movies and how much fun they are. And Steamboat Bill Jr. is another classic.
Nice. Yeah, great choice. Fantastic choice. My number 4, Kyle has not seen. It's Waterworld.
It's on my watch list.
Awesome. Awesome. Waterworld is super silly. It's like if the postman wasn't serious. And I think it's so much. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's just wackiness. It's just like, let's throw $1 billion on the screen with no concern for if this is good or not.
Right.
And that makes it great. And essentially, it's an Earth that has been overcome with the melted polar ice caps, and it's all like underwater now.
Mad Max on water.
A Max on water.
For sure. Yeah. Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome underwater.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm sold.
Yeah.
My number 4 from 2013, Snowpiercer. Now this one, like the weather event kind of happened before the movie, but they're still in the middle of it, which is why
Right.
they have to stay on the train. Probably would have been higher if they were more affected by the winter in the actual movie, like as you see the characters throughout the movie. But it kind of rarely comes into play other than the fact that they can't leave the confines of the train.
I mean, I would say that's pretty affecting that they have to live on this train because it'll literally kill you if you leave it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I agree.
So,
James, have you seen the YouTube videos connecting this to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory?
Connecting Snowpiercer to Willy Wonka?
Yeah.
No.
It's maybe the 2 greatest video essays I've ever seen. There's 2 YouTube videos. I will definitely send them to you.
Okay.
You will thoroughly enjoy it.
All right.
But essentially, it is making a very credible argument that Snowpiercer is a sequel to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
I mean, credible in the fact that it's not true, but it's believable.
For me, after a certain point, I don't believe in conspiracy theories, but if there's one that I subscribe to, it's that the writer of Snowpiercer, in the back of their head, was inspired by Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Intentionally or unintentionally?
Intentionally. I think he's like
they were actively thinking about Willy Wonka as they're making this movie.
It's just too many lines connect for me.
Okay.
Too many lines.
The idea that you're going from room to room, and then at the end, there's like a guy who's running everything.
That seems more Wizard of Ozzy to me.
Well, I mean, there's shades of that too.
Yeah.
What about when they introduce the guy named Charlie right
Right.
at the second that a bucket shows up?
Sure.
Oh, that's right. Charlie Bucket. I forgot. Yeah.
It's wait till you see this. I'll put it in the Discord in case anyone else is curious. But he does a first video where he says like some things,
Mhm.
and then a couple months later he's like, I haven't got this out of my head, and I've come up with so many more things.
I mean, is that one of those things though? Like when you're looking for it, then you just find it.
It could be,
Okay.
except all the like main characters line up so perfectly with the kids.
Yeah.
It's like Veruca Salt. It's perfect.
I'm intrigued to watch this.
Yeah.
Let's see. My number 3, sticking with hurricanes, The Addams Family. if you remember, in the Addams Family house, there are books that come to life when you interact with them, and it's a bit of a plot setup where they see Gomez and Fester open up a book that's like Hurricane Ivan, and it kind of blows a bunch of wind. And at the end of the movie, Fester uses that same book to defeat his evil stepmother, I guess is the best way to put it. The plot of Addams Family. So yeah, in this case, a hurricane saves the day. One of the few times where the natural disaster helps the movie instead of hurting it.
Interesting.
Yeah. My number 3
Hold
is
on.
The Truman Show. Well, okay.
Is it a disaster if it helps?
It's extreme weather, though.
It
so
is
the hurricane's
okay.
the extreme weather.
All right.
Yes, in this case, it helps. It's a disaster to the mom.
All right, fair enough. Go ahead, Zach.
That's funny. The Truman Show, my number 3.
Oh,
So for the vast majority of the movie, obviously
Oh.
normal weather.
yeah.
At the end of the movie, his world is being controlled by a producer, a director, who controls everything in his world and decides, like, in order to keep him from escaping this world, he's going to kill him on screen, thus ending his narrative arc. And so he's on a makeshift raft, and he turns up the dial on the storm in the water, almost drowning him. And because it's at the climax of the film, I think it's a good spot to put it in, but it's a great movie. It's a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
Still holds up, and definitely some not a natural disaster because it's man-made, but it is extreme weather.
It's the same storm, not the same storm, a similar situation kills, in quotation marks, his father earlier in the movie.
Nice. My number 3 is from 2013. It is All Is Lost, which is a movie starring Robert Redford. He's a guy on a sailboat, and storm happens, and he loses the ability to survive on the sailboat. So it's a survival movie with an inciting incident with a storm. And there's a bunch of storms in the movie, but one in particular that kind of knocks him off course and off ability to help himself. And movie's kind of famous for there being almost no spoken out loud lines in it. It's mostly him on the boat, just kind of pondering and trying to survive. So it's famous for that. It's also written and directed by J.C. Chandor, who did Margin Call and A Most Violent Year. Great movies that Zach likes, because this one's also famous for being a movie Zach refuses to watch for some reason, even though I've recommended it a bunch and think he would really like it.
I was really turned off by the fact there's no horses in it.
Well, you don't watch horse movies either, so I don't know why that would matter.
Are you kidding me? I'm obsessed.
Oh my God.
No,
not the
you're
horse movie thing again.
You're
Blankets and
crazy.
horses. Those are two things that come up so often on this podcast.
I agree. You're obsessed with not watching horse movies.
What?
Anyway, my number 3, All Is Lost. Check it out.
Sounds great. Does it have subtitles?
It does. You won't have to read many of them, but sure it does.
All right.
My number 2 is the previously mentioned Rocky Rococo classic, Dante's Peak.
That's a bingo.
Love it. My number 2 is The Impossible. This is a fantastic movie about a typhoon? Tsunami.
Earthquake
What is
motivated
a typhoon?
tsunami.
What is a typhoon?
A typhoon is a hurricane in the Pacific.
Mm-hmm. Basically.
Well, this is a tsunami. And it is so visceral. Like, it really feels like you are in the tsunami with them. And it's very emotional. It's very well shot. It's very physical. It's really good. I definitely recommend it. It's harrowing, but it's really good.
I agree. My number 2 is from 1982. It's The Thing. Another movie that kind of the conceit of the movie is that they're contained into this small area. In this case, a research unit in Antarctica. I think think they're
Yes,
yeah.
Antarctica.
And so they're not constantly fighting the weather or anything like that, but they're definitely contained, and the movie takes place and they're forced into small spaces together, which helps drive the goings of this horror movie because of inclement weather, aka extreme weather. The Thing.
I considered it.
It may not be. It could be the Arctic. They're definitely in one of the poles.
Right. I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember which one.
Me neither.
I'm almost positive it's the Antarctic.
Okay.
All right, someone look it up while I talk. No.
Like I would bet money it's the Antarctic.
Okay, it very well could be. I just don't remember. Like,
I'd bet $10 it's the Antarctic.
$10?
Yeah.
If you're right, you don't owe $10, and if you're wrong, you do.
No,
yeah,
that's how bets work.
Right, but I don't want any skin in the game. I just want $10 if he's wrong.
Oh no, no, it's not a one-way bet.
So I get nothing
for being
I'm
right.
How sure are you?
Lose.
How sure are you, Zach? You said you were pretty sure. So sure you would bet money.
I am.
Zach, I'll take your bet.
I didn't. I didn't say I would bet
money. How about
money.
this, James? How about this? I will pay $10 if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I get $1 if I'm right.
I will take that
Kyle?
bet.
Sure.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'll take that bet.
James does not get to know the answer unless he.
I don't know at all. That's why I'm not
You'll
betting.
Take that bet, Kyle.
I'm not betting.
I'll take. Yeah, I mean,
I'm not betting one penny.
Those are good odds.
I could at best I win 10. At worst I lose $1. Like it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do
I'll
it.
take
all
that.
right. James.
I'm not a gambling person. We've talked about this.
Can you determine?
Oh, you want me to
if
help
it's in
determine?
the Antarctic?
Probably.
I think it takes place in the Antarctic, not the Arctic.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're probably right. I'll still take that bet. It's a good bet.
It's a really good bet.
It starts with the plot on Wikipedia starts with the words "in Antarctica."
Okay, great.
All right,
Zach, owe you $1.
Yeah, and feel free to round up
to $1. Round up to what?
That was great. 100,000. I don't know how many.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, me thinks you have a birthday coming up soon. I know what I'm getting you.
My present just got way low.
I will double your present.
Yeah, these are definitely fine.
Yeah. All right. Is it my turn for number one?
Yes.
Probably.
Okay.
So.
This list. My number one, previously mentioned Snowpiercer.
Nice.
I put it on here though because this is, I think, the most extreme of all the weather on this list. Like James said, for the most part, they are in a contained unit, so the weather's not directly affecting them. But because of weather, they have to be in this dystopian society. And we do see a few times when people are exposed to the outside weather, and it's disastrous immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Besides that, this movie is great. It's super weird. It really is just like as you're going through train car after train car, it's just one oddity after the next.
It's like a fever dream.
Yeah, for sure. So I would definitely I would recommend this movie. It's weird. It's violent. If you are squeamish, avoid it. But it's also been out for a decade, so you've probably heard of it by now. Snowpiercer.
Nice. My number one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is Magnolia.
Is okay. Let's discuss, but first go ahead.
What are you talking about? So, slight spoilers for Magnolia. If you haven't seen it, I do recommend that you see it. It's a fantastic movie. There is a moment that you are not expecting at the climax of the film where it begins raining frogs. This is an extreme weather event. Rarely happens. It causes a lot of commotion, I would say. A lot of things happen because it's basically like pouring frogs from the sky. And it's maybe the strangest thing that happens in that movie. Very memorable. And I consider that extreme weather.
So in Zach's defense, frog rain is a rare meteorological phenomenon in which frogs get swept up in a storm, travel miles, and then fall from the sky when the clouds release water.
It's a real thing.
Yes. It's a real thing.
Yes.
Are the frogs
it's a real
the size of the frogs in Magnolia?
I mean, right in Magnolia, I don't know. In Magnolia, the frogs are like they're almost toad size. These are
Right.
large frogs, right?
They're huge. They're like
Yes.
they're like 10-pound frogs.
Yeah.
They're bigger than my dog.
But they're not.
They're not that
bigger
big
than your
your
dog.
I mean, they're fist size frogs. They're good size.
yeah, fist like large hail frogs.
Whose fist?
Yes. An average human fist.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the thesis of the movie is that sometimes extraordinary things do happen.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Like frogs falling from the sky.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that actually happens. If it was extraordinary, that means it's something that doesn't happen.
No, extraordinary means it
Means-
doesn't commonly ordinarily
Outside the
happen.
ordinary. Yes.
Outside the ordinary, not extra impossible or extra possible.
Or supernatural would be raining
Exactly.
frog. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's on record of this happening somewhere.
It happened 2005 in Serbia. It's
Wow.
rare. It happened. I mean, again, if tornadoes can suck people into the sky, then I'm sure other weather can suck frogs. I'm sure they're tiny frogs. I doubt they are the frogs of the scale of Magnolia.
And
but-
in Magnolia, the frogs are the only thing falling from the sky. If
Yes.
what you're describing in Serbia, I imagine some frogs fell, but also other things fell.
They said thousands of frogs, but yeah, I'm imagining that's also rain. Like the rain is what causes the frogs to fall. It's not raining just frogs.
Or anything that's the weight of a frog.
Whatever. Yeah, I'm sure whatever else debris got sucked up into that
I would
storm
think
system.
if there's a cloud full of frogs, I would imagine the frogs would fall first, right? Before the rain.
I mean, what's the dew point for frogs?
It's low.
Or high?
can't
I think
All right, my number one is the previously mentioned from 2012, The Impossible.
That's a bingo.
I don't have much to add other than one of the things I really appreciate about this movie is the first half. It's like very clear that the first half is about the tsunami and surviving the tsunami. And then the back half is survival film and trying to figure out how this family is going to reconnect, basically. And it's a good one. One of my favorite disaster movies of all time.
Perhaps your favorite.
Perhaps.
perhaps you're number one.
Yeah, I mean, I considered from an honorable mention perspective, like Poseidon Adventure, which is a big wave that flips the cruise.
The Poseidon.
Yeah, so if this was just like
It's a cruise boat, yeah.
straight natural disasters, then I would have
I mean,
put it in the list. But since it was natural disasters / extreme weather, I tried to like keep the natural disaster to like weather that affects it more than just one moment, just the inciting incident.
I get what you mean. Yeah.
Do you guys want to hear the movies I considered for my list?
Yes,
Sure.
I've got a couple also.
Exodus, Gods and Kings.
Because of like the locusts
yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah, because it's about the 10 plagues of Egypt.
Sure.
There's lots of them in there.
Without getting too into like religion, is that still not supernatural, or is it if it's being caused by God?
So no, that would be supernatural,
Mhm.
Okay,
but still extreme weather.
I gotcha. Okay, great.
Joe versus the volcano.
Mm-hmm.
Greenland.
Yeah. I forgot about Greenland.
Melancholia
Oh yeah.
is about a meteor hitting Earth.
Mhm.
Poseidon Adventure, The Wave.
Kind of. It's about that.
Sunshine, the sun stopped
Sunshine.
burning.
Yeah.
Snowpiercer, Armageddon, Deep Impact, San Andreas, and Noah.
Oh, yeah. Noah. It's about a flood.
I just didn't like that movie. That's why I didn't include it in the list. but-
Sure.
I have 3 that I did not include because they're not good movies. The Day After Tomorrow, I don't think it's good. I understand why some like it, why some people may like it, but I don't think it hits that same fun level that Twisters does. I thought it was cheesy. So, Hurricane Heist, which should have been a fun dumb movie, but is really just a dumb movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then The Happening, the M. Night Shyamalan movie, where, spoiler alert, the trees are making people kill each other. one of my least favorite movies ever.
I don't know if that's a natural disaster movie.
Well, no, it is.
Or
It's
an
the
extreme
trees.
weather movie.
The natural disaster is trees, which are natural, are releasing toxins that cause humans to kill each other or
guess.
themselves. It's just not a good. It's not a good movie, nor is it a very interesting natural disaster.
Sure.
All the reasons why I left it off my list.
How'd they learn it was the trees?
Marky Mark was a science teacher.
And he figured out it was the trees?
Yeah. And yeah, because it was happening in like populated centers with like around nature.
I need to
Like,
rewatch that
could it-
movie. I feel like it's
You do
been
not need to rewatch
been
that.
unfairly judged.
I don't think
Was
it's
it-
unfairly judged.
Was it all plants or just trees?
I remember it being trees, but there's also a joke where he's like in a room with a plant and he's like, "Hey, don't kill me." And he realizes it's a plastic plant.
Okay.
That's a level of comedy you're gonna get from The
That's pretty
Happening.
good, actually. That was decent.
What, that joke?
Yeah, that's a pretty good joke.
Wait till Marky Mark delivers it. Then you tell me how good it is. The Happening is one of my, like, if we ever do a top 10 least favorite movies, I'm pretty sure The Happening is going to make that list. So,
Okay.
Yeah. I'd rather watch Beau is Afraid than watch The Happening again.
Is that true?
I think at least Beau is Afraid's got something interesting happening now and then. A lot of it I
Wow.
don't care for, but it's doing something. The Happening is just stupid.
Wow. That's like James watching Dune 2 again.
I'm going to watch Dune 2 again. I like Dune 2. How dare you? Dune 2 was great. Way better than Dune 1. That's for sure. Movies you guys haven't mentioned that I could have chose from: Adrift, another, caught at sea type movie
Oh, yeah, I know it well.
with a storm. The Finest Hours, which is
Okay.
a good one. Also a Ron Howard movie, I think, right? Finest Hours. Nope. Craig Gillespie, whoever that is. Actually, I do recognize that name. The Thing, the remake from 2011. Crawl, which is the hurricane movie about the alligator that, it's a Jaws ripoff, basically. Hard Rain. Have you guys seen that movie?
No, but I remember that trailer being everywhere when I was a kid.
Yeah, Hard Rain, again, another one if you want to watch a 90s disaster action movie a la, I don't know, Twisters mixed with Heat, but like the worst version of Heat you can imagine. That's Hard Rain, where there's like this big storm and a flood, and these guys rob a bank in the middle of it.
Yeah, sounds like Hurricane Heist.
Very silly. It's a much better version of Hurricane Heist. That
Oh, Hurricane Heist is terrible.
And by-
Have you seen Hurricane Heist?
I have.
It's so bad.
By much
Yeah.
better, I mean I gave Hurricane Heist 1.5 stars, and I gave Hard Rain 2 stars.
Okay, so yeah, it is better.
Wow.
Then you've got Geostorm, directed by Dean Devlin.
Oh, that's not Roland Emmerich?
Not Roland Emmerich. No.
Oh, you could have convinced me it was.
And Into the Storm from 2014, which is another tornado movie that has a fire tornado in it, but also is not good. Another one I gave 1.5 for.
Nice.